We have learned about stem changing verbs. Today I'm going to show you how they are pronounced. The easiest stem changing or spelling changing or verbe qui change d'orthographe, verbe qui change de racine. The simplest one is GER verbs like voyager, corriger, exiger, manger, nager, etc. There's only one change you make in the stem, and that is you add an E in the new form. None of the pronunciation forms change here. That E is actually to keep the pronunciation the same. So it's je voyage, tu voyages, il voyage, nous voyageons, vous voyagez, il voyage. So voyager, nager, they all sound the same. You just add an E to keep the G sound soft. There are also verbs that end in A-Y-E-R, like essayer, to try, payer, to pay. In the boot shape, the Y usually changes to the letter I. They say that both forms are accepted, that you could keep it a Y throughout, and that's true. I do usually see more commonly that people switch it to an I instead. The pronunciation, again, does not change. So the verb essayer would be j'essaie, tu essaies, il essaie, nous essayons, vous essayez, ils essayent. So we're going to actually look at ones where the pronunciation changes with the spelling. There are verbs that end in E and then a consonant, so anything that's not a vowel like B, D, T, ER. So E, consonant ER verbs like acheter, amener, emmener, lever, mener. In the boot shape, you have an accent grave, accent grave, so an E with an accent mark going down. When you have this E with an accent grave, it sounds like like the E sound in the word jet. So inside of the boot, we're going to have this sound, but outside of the boot, we have a little E. It's called a schwa. It's an E sound that isn't strong at all. It's just So our verb acheter does not have a strong sound in the middle. You heard acheter. And so outside of the boot, achetons, acheter, again, the E is not very strong. But inside of the boot, you have that sound. So I'm going to say it once and then I'll say it with pauses. Acheter, j'achète, tu achètes, il achète, nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent. So if you'd like to repeat, I'll try to leave the pauses. Acheter, j'achète, tu achètes, il achète, nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent. I don't have it up here, but let's do lever. It would be je lève, tu lèves, il lève, nous levons, vous levez, il lève. Those are verbs that end in E, consonant ER. There are also verbs that have an E with an accent aigu and then a consonant ER, like préférer, considérer, espérer. And so here you've got inside of the boot an E with an accent aigu and an E with an accent grave, kind of the high-fiving accent situation. And you're going to hear those two sounds. You've got préfère. So je préfère, tu préfères, il préfère. Outside of the boot, you have two accents aigus. So it's going to go et. Nous préférons, vous préférez, il préfère. So I'm going to say it once and then say it with pauses. Préférer, je préfère, tu préfères, il préfère, nous préférons, vous préférez, il préfère. Let me say it with pauses. Préférer, je préfère, tu préfères, il préfère, nous préférons, vous préférez, Il préfère. Notice in the boot, they all sound exactly the same. Je préfère, tu préfères, il préfère. You guys probably are more familiar with sécher, to dry. So let me say what sécher would sound like. Je sèche. Excuse-moi, je sèche. Tu sèches. Il sèche. Nous séchons. Vous séchez. Il sèche. So let's do sécher real quick. Sécher, to dry. Je sèche. Tu sèches. Il sèche. Nous séchons. Vous séchez. Il sèche. Finally, we have verbs that end in E, L, E, R. They are not E consonant ERs where you do the accent mark. E, L, E, Rs have their own pattern. And just to point out, there are also a couple of E, T, ER verbs like jeter. So we'll do that one too. When you just have one L, it's a little sound. When you have two L's, it's kind of a longer, more drawn out L sound. So let's listen. Appeler, j'appelle, tu appelles, il appelle, nous appelons, vous appelez, ils appellent. Notice how much faster the ones outside of the boot are. Appelons, appeler versus appelle. So let me say them with pauses. Appeler, j'appelle, tu appelles, il appelle, nous appelons, vous appelez, ils appellent. I'm dragging them out a little bit, but you do hear a difference. The verb jeter, to throw. Jeter, je jette, tu jettes, il jette, nous jetons, vous jetez, il jette. That actually changes the E sound a little bit. Inside of the boot, it sounds like the eh sound of an E accent grave, an E with an accent going down. But outside of the boot, it's more of the schwa, the sound. Je jette, nous jetons. Tu jettes, vous jetez. I hope that that is helpful for pronouncing stem changing verbs.